Welcome to Balancing Life and Medicine. I'm Dr. DeWayne Baugus. I work at Maplebrook Acupuncture Clinic in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And today I'd like to go over some of the things that we offer at our clinic, the highlights of what we see, what's common, what isn't common, and some expectations as far as how can acupuncture and oriental medicine or an alternative approach help you in bettering your health care. So just wanted to give that one a pause.
Do you want to pull your microphone just a little bit closer to you? Yep. There you go. Perfect.
All right. One of the topics I'd like to cover today is something we see quite frequently. In fact, every day we come into the clinic and we do work, I'm always helping fertility patients. Fertility has become a major issue for young couples as they're trying to grow their families, having those beautiful little children. It's an obstacle in the world we live in today with high stress levels, with both parties, husband and wife, out working, trying to make ends meet, but at the same time wanting to grow their family. It's a pleasure that my wife and I have to work with those families, and we work with many of them. In fact, we've worked with over 23,000 patients as far as fertility is concerned. When it's difficult for you to conceive on your own, you're looking for other options, and many times you'll go to a fertility clinic. In the Tulsa area where we're located, there's two major fertility clinics, and one third clinic that is rarely talked about. But ladies come from each of those clinics, and that's where those 23,000 plus treatments have been thrown in our direction. It's where we're blessed to be on the journey with a young family while they're trying to navigate some very personal obstructions, some personal understandings about themselves, as well as the frustrations of learning how to communicate as a young couple. So we work in all those areas, combining not just what the body's doing, but what the mind is doing, and a spiritual aspect to have some grace for each other, to learn faith in a process, and understand that timelines aren't always under our control. Just because we want to do something at a certain time doesn't mean that it's going to happen at that time. And if it doesn't happen, sometimes there's psychological ramifications where people start to become depressed, angry, frustrated, or sometimes they feel like they're not good enough in their marriage with their partner. Those are all major things that we see. And I like to approach each of those aspects. The body, mind, spirit approach is necessary, especially when a couple is coming to me from a fertility clinic. Fertility clinics in the area, as well as around the state of Oklahoma, have recommended us. So we have patients that come from not just Tulsa or Oklahoma City. We have them coming from Fort Smith, from Denver, Colorado, from Dallas, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona, Los Angeles, California, San Francisco. There's so many different areas that these couples come in from in their journey and trying to get pregnant. And when they arrive here at our clinic, they're usually exhausted. Psychologically, they're beat down and they have questions. They don't know why. Maybe something isn't working. And my job is to calm their hearts and minds, get them relaxed into knowing that this is a joyous occasion, because it almost turns into work. It becomes very stressful, and that's not the right environment to get pregnant, believe it or not. Stress, it's right there with cortisol levels. If you've heard of cortisol, you know it's an enemy, it's not a friend. But the fertility process itself can be very stressful with a lot of lab work, a lot of injections, self-injections, a lot of looking at hormones, a lot of ultrasounds. There's retrieval processes. There's the big day for transfers, and all those events come with anxiety. There's a level of stress that families are going through when they do that process. And I'd like to explain some of that process from our perspective. The biggest one being an understanding of acupuncture and oriental medicine isn't the same across the board. It's actually different. Acupuncture does have the ability to stimulate hormone releases and change hormone levels. And that can be very dangerous if someone is already working with hormone levels with a fertility clinic. In other words, their hormones are being balanced through patches, through injections. There's so many different things that are going on in different clinics. I won't go into those details, but hormone levels are being balanced by those fertility clinics. So when a patient comes to us, there's just a few things that I really have learned to capitalize to get the most success out of our treatments. One of them being is lower that cortisol level. So as stressed out as you are, when you come into our clinic, my job is to be a supporter, an encourager on your team. And I think that that is across the board with fertility clinics, physicians, nursing groups that are there to support you. Remember, when you're on that journey, as I've met so many ladies before, sometimes they get caught up in it. It can be overwhelming. And you start to forget that the individuals that you're going to for help are on your team. But at the same time, you're in charge. You're managing all of this. And as I've done in the past, I've had to stop ladies when they get overwhelmed. They get so nervous. They become afraid. Hormones are taking you on a roller coaster ride. And I'll have to stop them and say, hey, maybe we should pump the brakes. Maybe we should remember this is about a joyous occasion. We're creating a little person. We're building a family. This isn't about being overwhelmed. So if that is a part of the process and you are going through it currently, remember you're in charge. Your team can be fired, and you can always hire a new team of encouragers, of supporters, of those who are there to remember you are a part of the process, the main part, and your health comes first. So many times ladies will come in, husbands and wives are preferred, but sometimes it's just the ladies, and that's okay. Us guys don't like to go in medical clinics. I get it. I'm one of them, so I understand. If I'm going anywhere, it's because my wife tells me to. So wives, take your husband. He's a part of this process too. Sometimes it's us guys that are having the issue, not you ladies. So when we figure out those things through the fertility clinics, testing and lab work and investigation, and start to understand where the problem area lies, that's when I usually see a couple come in and say, we've tried everything. We're tens of thousands of dollars into this. We're invested. Nothing's working. And we were told to try acupuncture, and we have absolutely no idea why we're here. And that's where I get to talk about cortisol, stress, proper communication between husbands and wives. Everybody needs to know what's going on with the fertility process. And for some reason, ladies take on that full burden and try to encompass all of it and try to do it all themselves. And that's just too overwhelming, especially when you're midway through the fertility process and hormones are cranking. You've got injections you're doing on yourself. You've got patches. You're having hot flashes. You're having night sweats. You're having questions about lab work. All these things are going on, and you need to be able to communicate that with your other half. And sometimes in that process, I get to be that mediator. So whenever couples show up, we're treating stress. We're treating cortisol. We're also boosting serotonin and dopamine, hormones that are relaxing, happy stuff. We're helping out sleeping, because sometimes ladies going through that fertility process, they don't get good sleep. If we have this issue of control, sometimes that can cause more stress and more of an issue. Trying to control every situation in a fertility process, yeah, that's a variable that you're just going to beat yourself up with. So I try to help with understanding what you can control and what you need to be able to just let go, and know that you've got a whole team of people that are looking to help you succeed. So What do I do with acupuncture? We do points to relax you, to calm you down, to help balance out those roller coaster highs and lows of hormones, of lab work, of waiting for answers, of waiting for results, of preparing for that retrieval, which there can be a ton of anxiety for getting the results after the retrieval of how many of those embryos are actually usable, and then getting you ready for that transfer. All these things have ups and downs. There's expectations. There's anxiety with it. Acupuncture is great at helping you relax, reset, and stay calm, and kind of allows things to pass through as far as your stress and your psychology. We don't hypnotize you. We don't take anything out of the equation. What we do is we just help the body relax. And in that process, cortisol drops. And we all have heard of that cortisol. Once again, I keep mentioning it because that's a fight or flight hormone. And it's hard to get pregnant when you're in fight or flight. It's nearly impossible, actually. So if we can help at that, that's a big bullet. That's a big hammer that we can wield as far as helping you in your fertility process. The other thing is to understand who you're getting acupuncture from, because there's many great acupuncture physicians out there who have trained with fertility clinics, who are trained in hormones and balancing, pediatrics, for just overall health care. And a lot of us are tailored toward helping those individuals. There's many different disciplines and interests in acupuncture. We take fertility as one of our top priorities. It's something we've done for a long time. It's something that we do very successfully. And I believe one of the reasons that we have been so good at helping ladies with that success rate is the fact that we don't interfere with hormones when we do acupuncture treatments. There's a lot of acupuncture physicians that think that they can just do everything. And acupuncture covers a lot of ground. It's very legitimate. It does work. The body does respond. So if it's done incorrectly, then sometimes an acupuncture treatment can go against a fertility clinic, the lab work, and the hormones that you're taking. In fact, it can cause more problems than good. So here at our clinic, understanding how those physicians work, working with those physicians for many years now, it's been our pleasure to be able to make this journey a good one, an easy one, without too many bumps on the road. There's always going to be bumps. That's part of the fertility process. But it's our job to keep you going, pick you up sometimes when you're feeling down, but to make sure that your mind is in the right place for the highest success rate. Thank you for joining me today. Once again, I'm Dr. DeWayne Baugus with Balancing Life and Medicine.